So I've been wanting to touch on this for quite some time. I just didn't get a chance to. So other topics just been on my head that I wanted to get out of my chest and all that. It's regarding my current issues at home and at work as well, and how they're all tied together to where my life is at now. But anyways, since I'm on this topic, let's just get it done over with. So this is regarding my friendship with Dewey, and I've known him since 2012. Introduced by Russ, and with his crew. I remember Dewey was the first one of his friends that I met, and then later on it was Neil and Nick, and then in August of 2012, the same year, was Andrew. So I think I'm Andrew in Jack in the Box, the one off of Dale, literally right next to Dale Junior High, where I used to go to. So yeah. So Dewey was the first friend of Russ that I met, if I'm not mistaken, and then became friends with him, long term. And so it's already now been 13 years, if I'm not mistaken. 13 years that I've been friends with Dewey. And as I come to know him as the other half of the Cox brother, the other half of Cox brother of Robbie, well developed. You guys got to get a pretty good chemistry. That's why I call them the Cox brothers. To be. It all started in May of 2013, right? So, in regards to our friendship, and look, for the most part, it's been pretty smooth, right? It's been smooth, and we got a long, smooth relationship as far as a lot of crazy, nice, moments, our hangouts. I'll say as groups. In 2013, Dewey's been a lot of my group hangouts with me, Robbie, and Julio. That's evidenced in a lot of the videos that I still have up on this channel. You can go to the playlist and check out a bunch of those videos ranging from February till like all of every month, 2013. Just check it out and find those videos. Whereas me, Dewey, Julio, and Robbie, we did a lot of group hangouts, including the one where we did El Dorado. It's our first time, at least it's my first time, in that park. I already been now, I think about 3 times, if I'm not mistaken, to that park, which is in Long Beach. So you can check that out for yourselves. We've done a whole lot together. He was somebody I got easily comfortable with, right? He was very chill. He was at least like one of the nicest brothers I ever met, right? He's got that really, dare I say, kind of bubbly, cheerful personality, and I know that in the later run, and I'm talking about these recent years with, and even it's evidence in some of our hangouts where it's just mostly me, him, Russ, Neil, and with sometimes even with Julio and Robbie, but just kind of seldom. And I'm going back to like the last couple of years, right? And Abbas as well. Abbas has been with the main crew from the last couple of years with me, Dewey, Russ, and Neil. Abbas would be there sometimes, right? He just has not been the same kind of Dewey that I knew, and there was just more to me that was annoying about him than it was like back then. Now I don't know if it's just me. Maybe like the first few years I've known Dewey and hung out with him, even one-on-one, I thought maybe I just didn't notice myself until later on. Maybe because of how mentally corrupted I am, my damn workplace, that I started to notice more and even critique him more about his personality, or his character rather, these days. You know what I'm saying? But the first few years, to me, at least, if I did not notice, he wasn't like that. He wasn't that kind of person. I know he's gone through a whole lot. I remember reading the time when he was in New Orleans, and I think he was one of those guys that was affected by the Hurricane Katrina. That was how many years ago? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, fast forward to the last few years. Yeah, he hasn't been that same guy. He's sounded more serious. At times, he can get a little bossy and all that. Sometimes a little forgetful, and sometimes I see him kind of boss wrestle. At times. I'm not trying to say he became mean-spirited and all that, but he just doesn't seem like the Dewey Cox that I know. There's gonna be a mixture of I won't say maybe like some flashes where he's at his best, and some flashes where he's just kind of impatient, just serious, a little bit bossy here and there, and who knows by now if he has a job. I know that I've decided to make fun of him last year when it became officially 10 years that he hasn't had a job. His last job, if I'm not mistaken, was at Liberty Tax when he worked with Russ, if I'm not mistaken, or Russ got him that job. It was only a seasonal job, and he quit sometime in 2014. I think it might have been in February or March that he quit. And since then, he's been on a long drought where he hasn't had a job. Now, as far as if I'm talking about real job, I'm talking about a full-time job, that's probably like years ago, So, I mean, look, I'm not, I know I've said he was a bum, and I think I only meant to say he was a bum, because he doesn't have a job, but he's not a bum in general. He's not a bum in general. He's just a bum for not getting a job. But he's not a bum in general, all right? There's a difference. So, as for, for Dewey, don't get me wrong, he's still a friend. He's still a nice friend, but after that group text incident, then, look, I said what I said, and even a lot of what I said was just geared at him. And unfortunately, it is to be expected, because he, it didn't just start with that. It started with, on that week where the group text incident happened, I said a lot of more shit that, that really upset him. He was like, yeah, there you go again, Jay, taking your frustration out on me. And now it's just, and then after that, things started to get, he did ask me, hey, we're still cool as friends, right? And then it came to that day when the group text incident officially happened. That was when he said to me, after I called him out, while I was in total anger mode, where I said, man, you're a money grabber, this and that. And he was like, Jay, I've had enough. You don't know the whole story of me and Russ, and why I'm always asking him for money. Stop taking. I'm sick and tired of you taking your frustration out on me. This is the last straw. Don't ever contact me again. That was the last thing I heard from Dewey. And then he was like, I'll give you one more chance, through the Facebook Messenger, right? Because after that, since that group text incident, we just never really communicated via text until I gave him a birthday present to kind of make up for what I did, right? Because he was one of those few people I left, I just left hanging and ignored, and and once I gave him the gift, he's like, yeah, man, I feel less angry at you. After reading that letter, I'm not going anywhere. I'm always going to be here for you, no matter what happens. And look, man, like, it's this one more chance that he told me. Let's just be honest. Since I have ghosted my entire friend circle, which was like what, late January, having avoided my entire friend circle. Let's just be honest. I don't even know if he's still gonna give me that second chance. Because when he told me he was gonna give me, quote unquote, one more chance, it feel like it might just not happen at all. And what I mean by that was, look, after the group text incident, we didn't really even talk, and I gave him his Christmas gift, and he said thank you and all that, but that wasn't really like communicating, right? So once and since going to the beginning of the year, and after doing what I did, never hearing from him nor all the other guys, I feel like he might have left me. And look, I'm not surprised if that happens, because considering what happened, and seems like it might go on the right, another opportunity to go in the right direction, even though the friendship just felt pretty. I mean, it's not very rough, but it's like it's roughened to the point where it's like, who knows if we're ever gonna, reunite and all that, right? So at this point, for me, I don't expect that we reunite, even if somehow, some way, I were to, already get a new job and all that shit, right? So for this sake, I feel like this second chance that Dewey is gonna give me, I feel like that might just not happen at all. I could be wrong. I know he's probably frustrated right now, as he was right after that group text incident, when I haven't talked to him for so long. If he feels like I backstabbed him, you know what? Then it is what it is. I just gotta prepare. Lisa said it in one of her comments earlier today. Just prepare for any disaster. I mean, I've yet to read the rest of her sentence and all that, but I mean, I saw it. I just didn't read through it carefully. I just saw her first comment where she said, prepare for any disaster. Hell, I've already had through a lot of disasters with my ex-close friendships, and whatever's happening at home, and obviously the disasters have begun with me, as I've already admitted. But it's at this point now that if Dewey doesn't want to be friends with me no more, it's all good. I mean, like, I've even started making assumptions about that, as far as like, even when we were still friends, it's like he along with Russ and Neil have seen the worst out of me, and going all the way back to like the last couple of years, and even the last year, where they've seen the worst out of the worst of me, but they have not seen this worst out of me, because of the fact that they don't know what's going on with me. At least even he doesn't even know what's going on with me. So as for Dewey, like, look, we've had a lot of great hangouts together. We had some good one-on-one hangouts together and all that. There was a whole number of them. I even did breakfast with him and Julio and Russ just 2 years ago at the Victory Burger or Victory Diner, pretty close to Julio's place. And I remember the time I went to Dewey's place, and I grabbed a whole lot of his music from a lot of the CDs that he lent me. That was crazy enough for me to say that was one of the best moments I ever had. And we've done mini golfing. I'll never forget when when we were at Chris's house. I know you don't want to deal with quote unquote Chris, even though that was Robbie that did all that prank calling, pretending to be Chris. But I doubt Dewey will ever see this video. He doesn't want to know. If he does, then who knows if their Cox brothers to be friendship might end too. But I'm not gonna bother with that with their business. Obviously, me and Robbie are no longer friends. As for Dewey, who knows if I'm gonna lose him, the other half of the Cox brother as well. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's just my assumption to think that Dewey would already have left me. I feel like he's not gonna waste any more time with me after, you know, it just seems I'm avoiding him again, even though it's not just him. And I don't know if he has come to that kind of understanding. He probably waited too long, and I feel like this might just already be the last straw. You know, the second chance might just already ended. So it is what it is at this point. You know, I just hope there'll be a future, just like I hope a future with Julio, if we ever decide to smoothen things out once I get the help that I need, which will be later today. But I know that's gonna take a while. So yeah, man. I mean, who knows what's gonna happen at this point? All I got are the memories. Even the times when we were at Chris's house and he was just, you know, going nuts on the controller every time we played Marvel versus Capcom. He was the only one. They're just so funny, man. I remember rewatching those videos like last year or so, and it was just hilarious seeing him like that. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I just gotta prepare for, you know, the worst has to happen, because already so much of the worst has already happened, and so it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you all later.